Okay, so yesterday, check your note card. I believe we put a formula on it, yes?
Yes.
All right. We put Planck's constant on there, and we also put Planck's equation, which was our E equals HV. So now really all we need to do is put a couple of examples of problems in your notes. So we'll start with a simple one and we'll work up to one that's a little bit of a challenge. So let's start with this problem. Calculate the energy of light with a frequency of 4.5 times 10 to the 11th. Now let's make it 10 to the 12th hertz. So obviously I started with Planck's constant. We're going to use his equation. So I know for this problem I'm going to use E equals HV, and I'm going to write down my variables, E, H, and V, and I'm going to figure out what do I know. Okay, it says calculate the energy of light, so that tells me I need to know what energy is. I know Planck's constant. You guys should be putting this in your brain, memorizing it. 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34th joules times seconds. And I also, in the problem, gave you frequency. So I've got 4.5 times 10 to the 12th hertz. So that's what I would expect to see if you were doing this on a quiz or a test, the upcoming test, which I'm thinking will be about next Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday. We'll start it. So then let's plug them into the equation, everything we know. This is actually a pretty easy one. E equals H, which is 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34th joules times seconds, times frequency, which is 4.5 times 10 to the 12th hertz. So I would expect to see that set up on your paper. And then, it's pretty straightforward what we do. We're going to grab our calculator and punch it in. Let's see what you come up with. And here's what I'm going to tell you to do. I want the answer in the correct number of significant figures. Oh, there's a blast from the past. See if you can do that. Jaden. Well, let me ask you this question to start with, before you even start punching things in. How many sig figs does this number have? 4. How many does this have? 2. So the rule says, when I'm doing multiplication, I can't have any more than the one with the least. So my answer should have 2 sig figs in it. Remember, we don't worry about these tens out here when we're doing sig figs. So punch that in and see what you get. Victor, do you need a calculator?
Nope, got one right here.
Okay.
I can't put Brandon.
When you're done, stand up. Find someone to check with. Let's see how we do. All right, how many of you agree on your answer? Kind of do. So let me write my answer down and see if you agree with it.
Oh, oh. Luke's gonna try to disparage me on the answer.
Okay, listen. So, on your calculator, it should have read, I believe, 2.9817. Yeah? So, Victor, turn around and be quiet. So that 8 would round the 9 up actually to a 1, which would make that a 0, which gives me 3.0 times 10 to the negative 21st. What should my units be? And I don't want you to just tell me, I want you to be able to prove it to me mathematically. What should my units be? What is hertz really? Waves per second, or we can write it as 1 over seconds. So, what do hertz cancel out over here? Seconds, which then leaves me with joules. You should always be able to justify your units. Okay, so there's one. Now let's try another one. Let's say, calculate the frequency of light that has an energy of 3.7 times 10 to the 14th joules. Now I'm going to let you just work through that, and then we'll check answers. When you have an answer, stand up. right, find somebody to check with. Did y'all agree? Okay. So did you leave a parenthesis off somewhere, maybe? Is this the correct answer? Really? What's wrong with my answer? There's no units. How do I justify my units here? Maria? Okay. Okay, so it becomes 1/seconds, which is hertz. Did anybody not get this? Did you leave a parenthesis off of your exponent? All right, I'm going to give you one that's a bit of a challenge and see what you guys can do with it. I'm going to have you work with your lab partner. See if you can figure out the path. Don't leave yet. You got to write it down. Let's say I have light. Whoops. With an energy of 7.92 times 10 to the 12th joules has what wavelength? That ought to make you think. So I want you to get together with your lab partner or partners and see if you can figure a path to take. After you try for a couple minutes, if it doesn't become clear, then call me over to help you. Really talk about it. So talk about it for a little bit, and then if I need to come and talk to you, call me over. I'm going to ask you a question that will help you on the right path. How many equations do we have? 2. Do they share a like variable? Yes, that is correct. So is it possible you may have to use one equation to solve for something and then use what I find and plug it into the second equation? Might be possible. When you think you have an answer, I want you to come back to your desks. Or if you need help, call me over. What if I ask for leave? Okay, so, when I ask myself for leave, do I have enough information to use what's missing? I don't have wavelength and I don't have frequency, right? So then I have enough E equals HV. Do I have enough information to use that to solve for frequency? I have an energy, right? I gave you an energy. We don't have frequency. Do we have H? Yes, we always have H. So that can let me solve for frequency, and then I can plug it in the other one. Anybody else need help? Okay, so you already figured out it looks like from what you're writing down. That you can't use C equals negative E, because you don't know what the E is for frequency. So now it looks like you're on the right track, because we know this, we know this. And then plug it in.
I had a technique to the calculator.
Because I'll know the speed of light, and I'll know frequency, then I can find it. I have to use both forward and speed to do that. We've got a couple minutes, let's try to get an answer. I know, is that what you got, Maria? Okay, so listen. I want you to finish this up tonight if you didn't get it. That should be your final answer, just so you've got it for reference. And then you need to complete the paper that I had you pick up today. It's just problems, it's pretty simple. And I will actually collect that for a grade tomorrow. So be sure you get it done.